stand for KP in NYC?
I'm going to defer before I have a semi-tirade.
Well, my take on this is, as a player, if I am injured, I'm not playing out there in the fray with my team, fighting, trying to, accomplish whatever goals we set in the preseason. If I'm not out there, how can I request a trade just by what I see? I have something to do with what I'm witnessing every night. So I don't understand why KP is, coming out now saying he wants to request a trade. I don't know if it's true. I mean, that's what we hear. But he's wrong for requesting a trade when he hasn't played in, it's been a year now?
Yeah,
because he's out with injury. So, no, this is wrong.
I wouldn't even answer the phone to take that meeting with him. Are you kidding me?
I mean, they had the meeting.
He didn't accomplish anything. We're not talking about, the other guys we've been talking about, we're going to talk about the rest of this show, deal with, right. Anthony Davis and LeBron and whomever else, people who have played several seasons, had big seasons, had some successes, some disappointments, true. But Porzingis, what has he done?
Say it one more time. Porzingis.
Some of this needs to be earned. He's not even, Tracy said it best, and it's from a player's perspective. He's not even on the floor, Rachel.
We will discuss this. We're going to have Ramona on later in the show to give us a little bit more information on this report. There is so much going on today. Welcome to The Jump. I am indeed Rachel Nichols. Mike Welbon, one of my favorite people on earth, has graced us with his presence.
Thank you, Rach, for having me. I appreciate it.
So happy you're here. And of course, the fabulous Hall of Famer, Mr. Tracy McGrady. So much going on today. But yes, as Welbon said, we got to talk about AD. And the real question is, who do you trust? That's the game going on in the NBA right now around Anthony Davis. And considering who some of the main players are, that's going to be a very tough question to answer over the next week. There are scores to settle, anger to mete out, and everything is suspicious. Take last night, the Pelicans' first home game since Davis made public his trade request. This is a side-by-side comparison of the Jumbotron video that New Orleans uses to introduce the team before games. You can see the version on top, right? And then the version they played last night, AD's image totally scrubbed
Are you kidding me?
out. Wow. Certainly seems hella petty, but later our Royce Young reported the Pelicans' explanation was they didn't want to create a situation where they put AD up on the big screen and he got booed. Do you trust that that's true?
No.
And by the way, who should the Pelicans trust? Adrian Wojnarowski and Zach Lowe published a super interesting article this morning that made it clear the Pels do not trust the Los Angeles Lakers. They say that New Orleans GM Dell Demps wouldn't initially even return Lakers GM Rob Pelinka's phone calls. Apparently now at least Magic Johnson has spoken to Demps, although according to Woj and Lowe, the Pelicans' message right now to Davis is generally that if he wants to get to LA, he's going to have to wait until he's a free agent in the year 2020, a year LeBron James, by the way, will be turning 36 years old. And even then, the Lakers could only add Davis if they hold the cap space open, which means they'd basically just have to punt on the next season and a half. Then there's the league's other 28 teams. Do they trust the word reportedly put out by AD's camp? Now they're saying if you trade for him, just consider him a rental because he won't sign a long-term deal. The strategy, of course, designed to depress the market, make other teams feel it's not worth offering a lot to New Orleans. The Lakers' offer will be good by comparison. But is that really true? If a team acquires AD and say goes to the finals next season or even wins a title, would he really just walk right back out the door after the victory parade? Boston doesn't think so. The Celtics are reportedly ready to offer the kitchen sink for AD, even without the reassurance he'll re-sign. But Boston's situation is tricky because of a quirk in the CBA. The Celtics can't trade for Anthony Davis right now because his contract conflicts with the deal Kyrie Irving has. Kyrie will get a new contract this summer, so Boston has been pushing New Orleans to just wait until then. But if you're the Pelicans, do you trust Danny Ainge? And I say that with the highest respect for Ainge. But I mean, come on. He's just so ridiculously good at taking other GM's lunch money. Are you really lining up to be his next victim? Let's review Ainge's track record, shall we? Starting with the trade that brought Kevin Garnett to Boston. Here's what Ainge gave the Wolves for him. Note, none of these players add up to one Kevin Garnett. Or how about the infamous Brooklyn trade? Ainge might as well have been driving Michael J. Fox's DeLorean. He stole so much of the Nets' future in exchange for those aging players. There was the 2017 draft, where Ainge convinced Philadelphia to swap what became Markelle Fultz for what became Jason Tatum and a future first-round pick. Even if that pick had gone the other way, it probably wouldn't have been a good trade for the Sixers. As it happened, it was a disaster. And then, of course, we have Ainge somehow convincing the Cavaliers a seriously injured Isaiah Thomas with an expiring contract would be, totally a fair centerpiece in a deal that netted Kyrie Irving. I mean, come on. Now Ainge is asking the Pelicans to trust him, and he's allowed right now to give a framework of the kind of deal he'd offer come June. For instance, he can say if he'd include Tatum in the trade, except a lot can happen between now and then. Tatum could get hurt. AD could get hurt. Or on the flip side, Tatum could play so well through Boston's playoff run this spring, like he did last spring, that the Celtics could come back to Demps in June and say, you know what, actually, his trade value's changed. We aren't going to send him after all. So who do you trust? It's a high-stakes game. May the best team win. I mean, Tracy, the Pelicans are in quite the spot right now. Do you like how they're handling this? Do you think they're trusting the right people?
Initially when I saw this, I heard about this, I was like, they did him so wrong. Like, he's still on their roster. He still comes out, supports the team. They did him wrong. However, I think they did the right thing.
You mean with the video?
With the video, taking him off. And the reason I say that is because I actually experienced this.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they are telling the truth about this because when I was in Houston, my last year, I got injured, and there's a lot that's going on behind closed doors that the media doesn't know about, that the fans don't know about, and we were clashing, we were going back and forth, and some stuff started getting out to the media, making me as the player look extremely bad, right? So I show up to a playoff game, and they're playing the intro, and my piece comes up, and they started booing. So I have personal experience in this. They did the right thing. So to me, they're handling it well on that part.
Yes.
The only way to handle this the right way is to get two things. You wait as long as you need to wait to get the best deal you can get. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter with whom. You are not beholden to anyone if you're Pelicans management.
You have all the leverage.
That's right. You finally have some. Mm-hmm. And you've got some with the Lakers in this position where it appears people think they need to make a quick deal. Maybe not. You've got Boston saying, wait for us to jump in June. And you have other teams. People say, no one's going to go out and take the risk of signing Anthony Davis with no guarantee. Well, wait a minute. Didn't Toronto just trade for Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah.
And they're in a similar position. Look at what Oklahoma City did with Paul George when everybody said he was coming to L.A. So these things, as Tracy said, they do change. I think the Pelicans need to just wait a minute. And, of course, it's incumbent on Magic to get this deal done sooner than later.
If the team you were waiting for is Boston, which is certainly reasonable considering that Boston seems to have the best offer for you, but given the long history I laid out with Danny Ainge fleecing teams, I don't know. When Danny Ainge calls you, do you pick up that phone if you're Dell Demps? Do you trust them? Not that I'm not in any way implying that Danny Ainge would purposely lie to anyone, but that he's just good at getting the better of other teams.
Well, I played in this league a long time. I posterize a lot of people, but I've never seen a executive posterize other executives. That's what he's done. He's posterized other executives.
Ridiculous.
It is. But in this sense, I think if I'm New Orleans, I look at what he has to offer, what I can get back. I take that chance. I have to answer the call because I see Tatum's growth, the Roziers, the Jaylen Browns. Like, he has a lot of assets that can really, possibly change our franchise in the direction we want to change it in. So I'm going to ask for, unreasonably more from the Celtics so I won't feel like I'm getting played. But I'm picking up the phone.
I'm old enough to remember Red Auerbach, so I'm a lot older than Tracy. Red, that's where Danny, he studied at the knee of the master. He did. I'd be just as hard, just as tough on the Boston Celtics in that phone call as I would be on the Lakers. And I would tell Danny, any deal that doesn't start with Jason Tatum, I'm hanging up the phone.
Right.
Hanging up the phone. Call me back later. I'll be talking to Denver. I'll be talking to Chicago. I'll be talking to whomever. The Lakers more. But again, this is the time where the Pelicans, if they're going to do this, They've got the leverage, and it has to be used. Leverage is only good if you use it.
Well,
I've
seen just even in the last hour, Magic Johnson seeming to put out through several media sources this idea of, hey, don't think that our offer now is still going to be there in June. Because the idea sort of circulating for the last 24 hours has been, hey, you can wait on the Celtics offer, wait for the Celtics to come in. The Lakers are still going to want him, right, in June. And they think that, hey, they don't just have just the year with him. They think they've got the next 5 years with them. So they'll offer you as much as they'd offer now. And there seems to be an effort by the Lakers to put out through the media, whoa, 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 don't assume that we'll be around here in June and you can start leveraging us off the Celtics. If you wait, and then Danny Ainge come June says, you know what, actually, I'm not offering you Tatum. The Lakers are saying we won't be there to counter. Do you buy that?
Well, you could if the Lakers are willing to look at other people. There's got to be Magic's got to have 20 plans in his head. I know Irvin Johnson. This is Anthony Davis is not the only plan in his head. I'm sorry, did Kawhi Leonard evaporate, or is he going to be a free agent? Right? I mean, there are going to be some people who Kyrie Irving. What? He can only stay in area code 617? I'm not buying any of that. So, no, Magic has a number of plans. Many don't involve Anthony Davis, and you don't have to involve Anthony Davis. And I love Anthony Davis. He is the centerpiece and the best player on a team right now, which is not even as good as Dallas. Right. So let's not make Anthony Davis...
But the idea is you pair him with Kyrie Irving in Boston, or you pair him with LeBron.
You can pair with a lot of people.
And then you've got something. I want to get back to the Knicks, though, because apparently in that meeting today, it became apparent increasing tensions on both sides could culminate with the Knicks initiating trade talks on Kristaps Porzingis before Thursday's deadline. Right? Sources who spoke to Woj and Ramona. Look, here's how they got to where we are.